your product arrives in a reinforced box with protective packaging. We have the stock in 2 parts, should be pre-assembled, as well as the little card here, and we have a QR code to scan here which takes you to the website and the instructions and any tips and tricks. Going to demonstrate how you use the stock now to assemble it. So that snaps out, that's got a lock there on the magnetic lock, and that front dock's going to disconnect. We're going to connect this first. This is for a right hand stock, so I'm going to take my PlayStation 2 VR controller, and you can see there's a little line down there just where the join is. That doesn't actually have any tracking LEDs around it, so we're going to attach our gun stock connector to that. We're going to open it up, slide it underneath, clip it down, make sure it's pushed to the back, and then with our thumb screw, just going to tighten it up. It doesn't have to be overly tight, just nice and firm so it doesn't move. That's that one done. Let's get our second one. And this is the main body. We're just going to take that thumb screw off, open it wide, and you can see this little catch here, that's going to fit under that lip at the front, and you're just going to turn it. There we go. And what we're going to do, again, you can see a little line down there, so that's where we're aiming to get our little controller. So once you've locked it on, try and push it as much as you can that way, and it'll align better. Hold it together. Put your thumb screw on. Again, you don't need to overly tighten it. Just make sure it's secure. And there we have it. Just going to do a demonstration now of how to use the stock, how it functions. You have the magnetic front dock, which will disconnect. I tend to find it's easier when you disconnect it in that fashion. So it should stay on. It's quite rigid, but you know, when you have to disconnect it there, it's pretty much self-guiding, and you will get used to that, where to position it. Now you have an adjustment screw on top, and you can move the controllers closer or further apart depending on what the rifle is like in game, or an SMG. Also, for a comfort setting, you can set it further back if you're a bit shorter. My wife's a little bit shorter than I am, and so she likes it quite far back there because it makes the overall length of the rear stock a bit shorter then as well. So that's that. I tend to lock it just forward there. Now, when you come to closing the stock, if you brace it against your forearm, you can snap that shut, and then with your fingers you can flick it back open, so it's very quick to deploy in game if you need to. For pistol use, I tend to have it folded, and it's pretty lightweight, and you can throw grenades like that as well. For rifle use, obviously you're going to extend that stock, but for SMGs, or for close quarters, I tend to just use it folded, and it's actually really good just like that. For disassembly, we're going to take that front controller off first. Take the thumb screw off and pop it out. And there we go. And the rear one, exactly the same. Loosen that thumb screw, it should just come straight off. I usually put these back on just to store it so we don't lose them. And that's it. Because the rubber is quite new, it leaves a residue sometimes on the top here. So what you can do, if you take some water and very slightly damp a cloth, just use a tiny little dab, and it should rub straight off. If you do that quite regularly for the first few weeks of use, until the residue starts to wear off the rubber. There we go.